Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space. What do you see today? A completed art journal page. I have been playing, filming and editing and life and everything lately. So I did do this one quite a while ago. This was part of a mission. Alexis and I actually sat down to do this together. I don't know whether she finished her page in the session. I'll have to go check her album. We did Mission Inspiration March. It's now July. But I thought I'd share it with you because it's a face and I'm trying to practice doing faces and get better at it, but I'm still really not good at it. So this was Mission Inspiration March. If you don't know what Mission Inspiration is, it's a 8-step recipe process that I call a recipe process to do your art journal page. And I'm just going to walk you through what I did for my page. I didn't actually do a process video of this one because my daughter and I were working together and she was working on the filming table and she filmed her process, which we have not done anything with yet because I haven't got around to it. I'm being honest. So Mission Inspiration March was, first step was tissue or napkins. So these steps are quite broad and you can interpret them how you want. So I've used a couple of different types of tissue and napkins. I'm going to use a pen to point them out. So we used a pink one here with flowers. This coloured one is from a napkin from, that one's tissue paper. This one's napkin from the Reject Shop. And there's some music note in there, which is some tissue paper, and the book text you see in the background is originally on the page. This is working in my altered wine book that has burst its cover. I love working in altered books, and it's burst its cover. It's looking a bit worse for wear. The cover's come off and I'll have to recover these books when I'm done. As you can see, this is back on page. So I've left some of the black and white photos to do something with. I just don't know what yet. So your pages get quite thick. Usually I stick 2 pages together when I'm doing an altered page, an altered book, just to give it a bit more strength. This paper was quite thick to begin with. That's books probably made in about the 70s, so it's a bit thicker paper than nowadays, and it's thicker than a normal novel. So if you're choosing a book, I've got a whole video on that. I'll link it below, going through different books and different things. But usually I glue a couple of pages together, and as you add more stuff and add more paper, your pages get quite thick anyway. So I've added the tissue paper. Step 2 is gesso paint with baby wipes. So I have just put a light coat of gesso over the top of it. Or did I use pink paint? I think I might have used pink paint. Add marks over page. So let me have a look. So the marks are these purple blobby bits here. It's actually done with some bubble wrap. So bubble wrap you receive in your packages is awesome to stamp with on a gel plate or just onto your art journal page. So I just painted a bit on and just stamped it in a couple of areas. There was some stamped areas under here, but I've covered it up. Texture paste embossing folder. So step 4, I've written them down in shorthand, I'm just trying to interpret my writing. It says texture paste embossing folder. Not sure why it says embossing, maybe I just wrote in folder. I think it said in texture paste embossing. So the leaves you see here is actually one of my stencils. I've used that quite a few in my art journal pages. And I did it with texture paste. And while the texture paste was still wet, so I scraped the texture paste through the stencil and it's a little raised, then I sprinkled on some embossing powder. Been experimenting with different ways to attach embossing powder to my pages. You don't necessarily need to use a stamp or a stamp pad. Basically any wet glue or any wet substance you can drop the embossing powder into. It basically just needs to grab onto the page while you melt it, and once it's melted it stays on your page. So that's how I got the purple flowers. At that stage I didn't know what I was doing with my page, and I probably regret putting them over here in her hair, but the girl wasn't there before I did the embossing.